Homelessness is a global problem that affects around 100 million people worldwide. Invisible People in 2019, which took place at King's Building near Blackford yesterday, is a public conference that brings together entrepreneurs, social workers and policy makers from two opposite sides of the globe, Scotland and Los Angeles in the United States, to share their experiences with everyone interested in finding out more on how to tackle this humanitarian emergency in the 21st century. But what caused the current crisis?
Housing then became a commodity rather than a home. So a lot of people bought housing to let it out for profit or pension. Then we, of course, had the massive crash, which saw a lot of people left homeless from that, who normally would never have been in that position. This was followed by austerity, some seriously brutal cuts, which affected people at the lower end of the scale, particularly through welfare reform, things like the benefit cap, which came along with some of the most venal, awful policies like the two-child cap, which came along with the rape clause. So we had that. There was, while all of that was going on, we had some of, I think the best Scottish word to describe that would be faffing. Some of the best housing policy faffing that I've ever seen. A lack of welfare reform, and then along with that we had the growth of the Airbnb market. But I think if there was one word that would sort of sum up what has caused our housing crisis, it would be greed. That is the fundamental basis of what has caused our housing policy crisis. It's greed, sheer unadulterated greed. And that's what's found us where we are now.
With the root causes of the issues defined, discussion then naturally progressed to potential solutions.
And I think since the government role has diminished over time, what has happened in Los Angeles is that the social service net, the providers, the housing providers, the service providers, have been the ones who have been tasked with holding the bottom and being responsible for solving this problem. So it's not the president, it's not the governor, it's not the mayor, it's not the city council, it's not the neighbors in actuality, but what should be happening is that we are all responsible for it. And it has to be a community response, not just, because you can have all the money and all the political will, and if the neighborhood doesn't respect their homeless neighbors and won't let housing be sited, we're not going to solve the problem.
Organisations like Invisible Cities, organisations like Social Bite, third sector charities and communities, they're the people who are now, we are dependent on, very heavily dependent on those people to push and push and push policy, because if we didn't have them pushing, things would not get done. When we had a Labour administration, they built 6 council houses, 6. We've now got a programme going where we intend to build 10,500 over the next 5-year period, but that has taken so much effort and so much pushing, and it hasn't been the politicians that are doing that, it's been people like the people that are in this room. And having spoken to Lewis and everybody from Los Angeles, their approach is, I think, the correct approach and the approach that we need to be adopting further here, because the only way we are going to sustain our push for more social housing and different types of social housing is with the help of the third sector, charities and other organisations to keep pressure on government, otherwise it's going to fall by the wayside. And obviously, as a Green, we're going to have to start building in sustainable housing on a much wider scale now, and I think we need to start that as soon as possible.
The event was organised by Invisible Cities in partnership with the University of Edinburgh. It was free to attend, but with opportunities to donate throughout the day. It is a global effort and collaboration across the pond that Invisible Cities hopes will find solutions both at home and abroad. Ian McNally, That's TV.